We're joined now by HuskerOnline Sean Callahan. Sean, good morning. Compared to last week, we knew that Teddy Prohaska was out for the year with injury. Do you feel any better or worse about left tackle with the potential, with Turner Corcoran there, or Gunnar Katula since we've last talked last week, Sean?
Well, I mean, I think Turner Corcoran was honestly trending, to have a pretty good chance to win the job even before the Prohaska injury. I mean, that was the chatter we got actually before the injury happened. I mean, he's a 30-plus game starter in his career, obviously coming off injury, and Teddy took over once he was hurt. So the key is can Turner Corcoran, get himself to just a level of being serviceable. I'm not asking him to be an elite left tackle. I think a good left tackle, a quality left tackle, because you look at that line right now, and you got Mazuka and guys in the interior, Ben Hart on the edge, Ben Scott, and then you can figure out the other guard spot with Justin Evans and Latowski. So they've got a good group. I mean, it's just a matter of getting that left tackle spot to a point where they can play at a Big Ten level.
What are you hearing out there, Sean? You and Bill speak more than Winston Churchill used to speak. What are you hearing from the people out, the good fans out in the hinterland? Where were you last night?
I did an event at the Lincoln Country Club. I mean, the thing I'll say is every event I've done this summer they've been packed, and a lot of it's the excitement, obviously, for the season. I did one for 300 plus people in Bellevue, and did one last night for 160, I think. It filled up the room at the country club, and I'm going to be in Columbus tonight for another event. There's a lot of optimism, a lot of interest, a lot of people obviously interested in the direction of the college game with what's happening with the NIL and the money. And then obviously Raiola. I mean, you can't talk enough about Dylan Raiola. People want to hear everything there is about what he brings, and he's brought a lot of hope, I think, to a lot of Nebraska fans as they get ready for this season.
Is it even necessary right now for the head coach, Matt Rule, to formally announce a starter? Is it even at this point? Is it even? I'm a serious question. Is it necessary?
It sounds like you're writing a column on the air right now. I know you so well, Stephen. It's simple. Yeah. This sounds like your Sunday column.
Maybe
we're going to have the meeting on the air here right now. But no, you make a great point. I think right now you could just go to that whenever they release the depth chart, and he's on there. And if you wrote the story, Raiola named starter of Nebraska. I mean, it's like, well, no kidding.
Right.
I don't think anyone's going to be shocked, obviously, by that headline. It's just a matter of what Matt Rule or how he wants to do it. But yeah, I almost don't think you need to make some big formal parade. We've come to a decision on who our starting quarterback is. It will be Dylan Raiola.
I don't think
would Rule use that voice.
I hope
that was kind of my Rick Schwieger voice from the Chasing 3 videos the other day.
Yeah, it's interesting. Go ahead.
Well,
Jake.
if Harburg is number 2 right now, Sean, do you think he's number 2 for the whole season, or can somebody surpass him for that spot?
I think he's the number 2 right now. That's based on his experience. I think Gramstad, though, has some tools and capabilities to help this team if they had to play him. And I think Kalen long term has ability, but it'd be great to redshirt him and just let him develop and learn and get him in a game or two. But I think just getting Gramstad gives them a lot more options. Just having 4 players, 3 that have, 2, both Harburg and Gramstad have played in college games, and you've got 2 true freshmen on the roster. So it's a good mix of what they have right now in that room because there was going to be quite a drop off after your top 3, not really having a solidified 4th quarterback.
Understanding that Nebraska has an ongoing competition for the starting corner opposite Tommy Hill, is there any concerns you have at all about the defense?
The one thing I still wonder is, do they have a guy on a 4-man rush that will consistently get to quarterbacks in the Big Ten? When you're playing Ohio State, when you're playing Iowa, when you're playing Wisconsin, teams that will have good offensive lines, can you get to quarterbacks with a 4-man rush? And who is that guy that will do it? Because that's how you win in this league in a lot of respects. You've got to be able to drop 7 and get to quarterbacks with 4. Mm-hmm. And Nebraska has been inconsistent in that. They've been able to do it at times in the last 10 plus years, but since Randy Gregory, they haven't had that kind of guy. You even think back, Eric Martin was a great guy to get to quarterbacks. I mean, he had, I believe, close to 10 sacks in All Big Ten in 2011. They just don't have, who is it? MJ Sherman? Is it Jamori Butler? Who will get to the quarterback as a true pass rusher when they get in these 4-man rushes?
Did one of those Davis twins, did he get there a few times, 8 times, maybe one year?
He did. I think he might have got to 10 or 9.5 or right in that ballpark. I never looked at him as he was more of an interior pass rusher.
He was. You want to see someone flying off the edge like Aiden Hutchinson, don't you?
Just somebody that causes havoc where you have, Jay, I didn't even mention your guy, Sipple, James Williams, who,
I'm his agent.
He won the media room. I mean, God, that guy on the microphone yesterday was as impressive as any player we've talked to all August. I mean, for a guy that's never been on a podium in front of a room of 40, 50 reporters, he's got some it to him. And I'm really intrigued about James Williams now moving forward and what they can get out of this guy who they essentially signed off the streets last June.
Sean, also on the D-line, is a guy that people are talking about across the country potentially as a potential breakout superstar, Nash Hutmarker. Could you see him being a breakout star this year, not just for Nebraska, but in college football?
I think he's going to be quicker. One of the reasons why they wanted him to wrestle was so he kind of the Tanner Farmer approach years back. They had Tanner Farmer go out for wrestling. He got quicker, more aggressive. Nash had that wrestling background. I think he had a little extra weight on him, and they wanted to see if they could get him down and then build him back up. So the wrestling, I think, has really refined his body. He's playing quicker. He'll be able to play longer. If you remember early on in Nash's career, his play counts were fairly limited just because of the conditioning level it took to play at that size. And I think this year you'll be able to see Nash push his play counts to a level we've never seen from him before. And that's what you would expect for a guy that's played as much football as he has. And, there's no doubt, and you get asked, is he an all-conference? It's so hard to be an all-conference player now when you're talking about 18 teams in this conference. But I do think he will be a high-impact player at times for Nebraska this year. There's no question. And I think it's going to be very hard to run on this defense with the players they have up front.
All right, gather yourself. This leads me to my next question, that sentence. Think about this now. I heard Robin say this yesterday, and I think I agreed with him. Is those 3 guys up front, Butler, Nash, Hutmacher, and Ty Robinson? Now think about this. Is that the strength of the team?
No, I think it is. I mean, I think those are
okay.
Receiver. I think receiver could be in the conversation if they get going.
Okay.
But just based on snaps logged, accolades, leadership, that's a good group. I mean, I think those 3 players, and when you define kind of the top units, I mean, the secondary, they've got 3 or 4 good units right now on this team. I mean, I think left tackle, receiver. I think defensive line and secondary, are 3 really good groups and units, and tight end's a good group right now. I mean, they've got some good deep groups across the board. It's just, I think we're just all worried about left tackle because we know how important that position is going to be for what they want to do with Dylan Raiola.
Sean, thanks for the time. We will chat with you again next week. Good stuff today.
Hey, thanks, guys.